report in this day newspaper, Arise News sister platform, has it that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited and a select number of marketers spent over 5.5 trillion naira on importation of premium motor spirit, commonly known as petrol, and diesel between October 1, 2024 and January 31, 2025. It also disclosed that the management of Dangote Refinery is currently in court with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NNPCL, and other oil marketers to compel the industry regulator to stop issuing import licenses for fuel imports despite in-country sufficiency. On its own, NNPCL Limited, as always in defense, maintained that its decision as to where it buys its products is dependent on economic forces, especially on the issue of pricing. In the meantime, there is a growing concern that the Naira for Crude initiative, which ensures that local refineries receive crude oil in Naira and sell refined products to marketers in the local industry, in local currency, may be threatened over inadequate crude supply to domestic refiners. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had directed the sale of crude oil to Dangote in Naira as part of a move to bring down the cost of petrol. In October 2024, the Federal Executive Council approved that 450,000 barrels intended for domestic consumption be offered in Naira to Nigerian refineries, with the Dangote refinery acting as a pilot project. For more insights on these developments, I'm now being joined by oil and gas expert, Mr. Dan Kunle. Mr. Kunle, it's my pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. Happy New Year and compliment of the season. And may I use this opportunity to congratulate also the family of this day and the Arise, particularly the proprietor, Professor Nduka Obiagana, who has done very well.
He's really a professor.
I was a living witness to his struggle in 1994 in Abuja. So to set up this newspaper, I was very privileged that time to know him, and up till now, he knows that I have a lot of respect for his courage in this environment to get this feat achieved. It means he's a good fighter. I congratulate you and the entire team and family of Arise Television this day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
To the issue at stake, Dr. Abati, I'm happy we are back here again. This is 2025. I hope we will not be sitting here to repeat the wrong of 2022, 2023, 2024, which is the indication I can see now from the numbers you have just brought out. This transition that I thought was going to take place based on the Federal Executive Council decision in October 2024, that local crude oil allocation be effected for the local refineries, which Dangote Refinery is the main one that has technical capacity to refine. But I can see from what I have just read since yesterday that it appears it is still fuel import armada that I can see. I use the word armada because if you remember the history of cement armada, I can see the importation level that we have not seen in recent times. It's huge, which means something is really going wrong heavily. Either the decision is to flood the market, dump toxic fuel here, bad, muddy water into Nigeria, and leave maybe Dangote prostrate. But unfortunately, the error or the miscalculation is that the refinery is already up and running, and they are well over 500,000 barrels per day. So they are producing high-quality petrol that this importation is uncalled for, is unnecessary. And I think it's time we plead with the president to stop this importation racketeering. I use the word racketeering because it's very, very uncomfortable. It's uncalled for.
The thing about the importation is a story that we are now self-sufficient. We have the Warri refinery working. We have been told that the Port Harcourt refinery is also now fully, more or less, operational, phase one of it. and that we're now producing 1.8 million barrels per day. So if we have all of that, and then we have the Dangote refinery, we have these other refineries, what is the justification for the importation?
Yes, Dr. Abati, this is my biggest problem for the industry and for Nigeria. The oil and gas industry in the last 10 years, Dr. Abati, is over-politicized. So you can see now they say 1.8 million barrels of crude oil is being produced per day. It's a political crude oil production. That is political statement. Give us the exact technical production and the allocation that belongs to federal government. We don't know it. So if you have 1.8 million in reality, then 450,000 barrels to the domestic refineries. Tell us how much has gone to the small refinery in Port Harcourt that you say is up and running now, which I doubt. I think it's a political refinery also. The Warri refinery that they say is working, producing kerosene and AGO, I think it's also largely political. What they should show us how many barrels of crude oil is being fed into that refinery per day. And what is the yield coming out to the market? We need to know it. So having said this, still means that we are over-politicizing some transactions, some state-owned enterprises that we don't need to politicize at all. We should just face reality and allow this asset to go into the private hands. Because now, if Dangote Refinery does not have access to 450,000 barrels per day, or take 385, which was approved by Federal Executive Council, it means he's importing what he's using now, largely based on dollar. So if you give him even what you promised to give him in naira, okay, maybe the advantage will be that he will refine and sell in naira because he's buying in naira. But if you don't even give him at all, or what I read, maybe they want to give him like 61,000 barrels per day, which is not even up to 10% of 650,000 barrels per day. So you can now see that there is a problem about the propaganda and the politicization of the refinery. What I'm not happy about is that President Tinubu is too well informed, is too well educated, well exposed to run a system like this. It's very unfortunate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where does the midstream and upstream regulatory agency come into this? Because the midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority were told Dangote has taken them to court, asking them to stop import licenses. If the issue is as straightforward as you have painted it, the NNPCL should know.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Abati.
Why don't they know?
Dr. Abati, my earlier statement, I go back to it. When you over-politicize a sector that's supposed not to be over-politicized, this is what you get. Where is the transition timetable outline articulated by the midstream downstream regulatory authority? They're supposed to articulate a transition from importation to local refining capacity against the crude oil output. So if they had articulated that in 6 months we are going to transit from importation of fuel to fully localized refining output, we will see it. They should bring it out transparently. This is the opaque approach to doing things that prompted Dangote to go to court, is to exercise his legal right. But at times, the problem with us, the trilemma we are facing is that some of these issues are bordered on moral and ethics, legal and political. So at times you don't know the boundaries of these three. This is the trilemma of a political economy like Nigeria. Otherwise, if the midstream were really doing their work, midstream, downstream supposed to articulate the transition since this refinery kick in. Today, Dangote Refinery has hit their threshold now. Their average cost of refining a liter today is now reasonable enough. That is why you saw the drop price. And they are feeding the refinery with imported crude. So the midstream, downstream regulatory authority, in this country today is just a sleeping. They don't. I'm sorry. I'm careful about the word I use, but I don't think they know what they are cut out to do, or they are over politicizing their role.
But you recall that in the narrative, what both the midstream and downstream regulatory authority and NNPCL Limited kept saying. They kept talking about willing buyer, willing seller arrangement. So if some other oil marketers prefer to import through NNPCL Limited, and some prefer to go into partnership with Dangote Refinery, like the Petroleum Retailers Association of Nigeria, Petrol, isn't that in line with the principle that this is a willing seller, willing buyer market?
Dr. Abati, you see the battle that America is setting out to fight with China, with the remaining part of the world. No nation, what Nigeria is doing currently, with this language you saw now, willing buyer, willing seller, what is the meaning of that? Is it not a country where you have surplus capacity that you talk about that? Where is the surplus capacity here? Today, Dr. Abati, I put it to you, only Dangote Refinery has technical, economic, and commercial refinery in this country. The refinery owned by government, the 3 refineries owned by government, are technically insolvent. They are financially bankrupt. In the last 12 years, we have spent average of $1 billion cross-check per year, $1 billion averagely in keeping those refineries. So if you had diverted this money in the last 12 years, doctor, yearly, into education, primary health, primary education, good sanitation, good roads, and safety and security of the country, and agricultural production, see where we will be. But we have been wasting this money on those old refineries, and now suddenly they are talking about willing buyer, willing seller, because they want to continue holding on to the state resources to import through their various rentier club. So if they continue to import, you bring dirty water, or what you now call dirty fuel, to dump on us when there is clean water here in Nigeria. So that is the moral issue. This matter is moral, political, and whether what is going on is really legalistic. So I will put it to the authority now, the regulatory authority, that this issue of willing buyer, willing seller is uncalled for here, because where is the capacity? So you are importing with government money. The money that will have gone into education, into other things, you are using our money, your money and my money, because the populace are not well informed enough to know what is going on is wrong. It is the people running the system and misadvising the president and convincing the president, whom I believe is well informed enough to know that this sycophancy will not take us long. This is the height of sycophancy. We witnessed this for 9 years or 8 years under Baba Buhari. Again, President Tinubu, that some of us have so much confidence that he was going to transform the landscape. Unfortunately, it's like the state capture. How can you have this willing buyer, willing seller to where when Dangote can refine 40 million liters per day, clean fuel? Okay. So how can you now be importing sulfur and toxins for your citizens?
Okay.
And then the refinery you said is working in Warrior and Port Harcourt. Tell us how much they are producing a day. Okay. Tell us how much crude you are feeding into them. Okay. But I don't believe they are working. And I saw Nigeria jubilating and congratulating, instead of them to be sad that their money has been wasted over the years.
Okay.
Whom are they congratulating?
Okay, Mr.
Public office holder, you are congratulating them for using your money wrongly for you.
Okay. Now, apart from this newspaper, Daily Trust also led with a story. And Daily Trust, in one of the stories I read in that newspaper, was saying categorically that the Naira for crude arrangement that was approved by the Federal Executive Council and President Tinubu has collapsed. Now, what is the implication of that for energy security?
Thank you very much. Energy security in this country, Dr. Abati, is at zero level. In fact, the only intervention now that will secure your domestic supply of petrol, diesel, jet A1, and kerosene is Dangote Refinery. I tell you this for free, because what is coming out of that place, Dangote Refinery is going to deliver petrol to every petrol station in this country. anywhere they are located, within 2,000 kilometers to that location. He will deliver it to your petrol station. So the issue of energy security, you see there is no power. There cannot be power because in the last 12 years we have over-politicized power. So there will be no electricity in this country, I tell you. There are about 10 idle power plants owned by federal government. There is no gas to feed them. Even if you feed them with gas, sufficient gas, at an appropriate price, you and me cannot pay. And even if they have the power to give to the grid cannot carry it. So, but they will be over-politicizing TCN. They will be over-politicizing the gas supply, gas production. So instead of us to sit down and look at this thing critically, so if Daily Trust report is to be taken as it is, because I believe they have authentic information from the system, it means therefore that we are at the mercy today of Dangote Refinery. The country can only be energy secure through Dangote Refinery today. I mean fuel supply, petrol, diesel, he's the only one who can give us.
Okay.
That is why you see the battle now. The people, the commanding height still want to control importation. The commanding height don't want to let go.
Okay, you keep talking about Dangote Refinery. Now, the dominance of Dangote Refinery, the advantage that Dangote Refinery has, is that what explains what looks like the price war? Because in December, Dangote Refinery reduced pump price of fuel by about 7.5%. Now, on January 17, the same refinery jacked it up, I think, to N5.5T. And now yesterday, in a statement issued by the same refinery, they brought it down, I think now to $8.90. That's gantry price, ex-depot price. Is there a price war going on?
Yeah, well,
no, it looks like a price war.
By the sheer size of that refinery, scaling has crystallized. Scaling means your marginal cost, your marginal revenue, average cost has reached an equilibrium because of the volume of crude he's feeding into the refinery now. So the refinery has been ramped up to a level now that his marginal cost is good. His average cost per liter is good. So that is why he dropped price. He dropped price to reflect the activity of the refinery. It's about econometrics. They have worked the average price. So it's good for the domestic economy of Nigeria. It's also good for his export. When the price is reasonable like that, he will get more export market. So, but the domestic market, if they are importing bad petrol to the country, low quality, which I call poison, to the country, and they want to sell at the same price with Dangote, you watch what is going to happen. If Dangote ramp up with imported crude oil to 650,000 barrels per day, he may still even drop price so as to stabilize the price for a period, depending on the international price and behavior of crude oil. Okay, because it's not dependent on local crude oil production, which is non-available anyway. So I think the price war, which the press may use price war. Me, I will use that he's using his own internal macroeconomic setting to say, oh, I can still drop price for the citizen of Nigeria in order for me to sell more volume. That is what he's doing because he has volume capacity now.
That places the other players in the market at a disadvantage.
And that is left for them now. When you don't have scale, federal government owned refinery, the three combined, is 445,000. It's 445,000 barrels. They are not working, and they will not work. Even if they work, they will work at a disadvantage to you and me because they will be having overrunning costs because government operated. They are all due for liquidation. They are candidates for liquidation. President Tinubu is an accountant. He should please help us use his accounting inner mind to liquidate those refineries.
Well, but the fear of most people is that could lead to a monopoly.
There is no any monopoly. You just need strong regulation. Anywhere in the world, when the commanding heights give way in Britain and America, they set up a strong regulatory framework to check the excesses of entrepreneurs who have strong hold on the four factors of production. What we are doing here is that we have intelligent people in this country. We are not using them. We have people who have good history of the wrong of the past and the good of the past. We are not using them. Because you need both. You need both the good, bad, and the ugly to run a nation. So what we are doing now is that we put amateurs together who just think it's just business as usual. So there's no anything called monopoly. You set up a strong regulatory framework to check the excesses. Okay, in this case now, who is the monopolist? The importers are the monopolists now. And the importers are just rentiers. They invested no money. Where is their asset? Where is their productive asset? All the people enjoying subsidy oil, subsidy this in this country today, ask them, where is their asset base?
Okay. Let's talk about the common man. Because all of these issues about NNPCL Limited, midstream and downstream petroleum authority, Dangote Refinery, other marketers, the lowest common denominator is that what happens to the man that goes to the petrol station to buy either diesel or PMS or AGO, that's the one that concerns us as ordinary Nigerians, because Petrol is even saying that now that Dangote Refinery has reduced gantry price, that we may not see the effect immediately because these petrol stations will still sell their old stock at old price.
Dr. Abati, Dangote Refinery he has just assumed the responsibility of Petroleum Equalization Fund that was set up in 1973, I think, if I remember my economic history very well. What is the meaning of that? He will sell petrol the same price in the petrol station on Awolowo Road here, the same price in Maiduguri. That means the common man in Nigeria, whom we have collectively misled, we have misled the common man in Nigeria to believe that petrol is everything to his life. The common man, we should educate the common man. We should inform the common man appropriately through National Orientation Agency, through you and me, that the common man should look on to government for sanitation, good water, safety and security, basic education for his children, healthy lifestyle, not to ask government, petrol and kerosene must sell at so price in front of my house or my local government. It's wrong. It's very wrong. Nobody in Britain, in America, in civilized world talk about the price of petrol like Nigeria. We have debated petrol price subsidy in the last 20 years. Nothing else. The poor man still get poorer, Dr. Abati.
So that this same crude oil flows in some people's grandfather's backyard. And they are saying that it's their ancestral property.
My brother.
Why should they not get it at a good price?
My brother, if you had sent most of those people more to school, if government had not misadvised them and misplaced the priority all these years, in the last 30 years, if you had invested more money in education for those people living in all those places, they will not talk about oil because some of their children might have become Elon Musk. I'm telling you, it's all wrong. Advanced sciences have identified hydrocarbon in every part of the world. So people who sit down in Ogoni or anywhere and say gold, oil run under my soil, if you don't have sophisticated science and education, that material there is just a waste. It has no meaning to you. It cannot be transformed. It cannot be monetized to be useful to your citizen. So all this claim about material, this, you have to balance it. So it's also it's an old order. It's a mentality of old order.
Okay, by way of summary, the specific issues that we have raised, what is the way forward? About this transition, private, public, private, about the case in court with midstream and downstream petroleum authority, and also this importation. What are your specific recommendations?
One, the case in court, the federal government, President Tinubu should call the midstream regulatory authority and call Dangote to sit down. The level at which the business of Dangote Refinery is today is a national strategic asset. There is no need for court cases. The president should just call the regulator and call Dangote and say, come to table. Regulator, give me your transition period. Aliko, follow this transition faithfully. Government will back it. That is the political interference I expect government to do. But if the president stay aloof and do like he does not know what is going on, or they are misleading him by misinforming him, that is not good for the country. I tell you this. It's not good for all of us. It's not good for new investment. No new investment will come when you treat a huge investment like this, like that. Dangote is qualified to earn the Nobel laureate. If you know what he has done there, to conceive that and put it physically there as you see it today, he's qualified for Nobel laureate. If he's not giving, then the Academy of Sciences and Engineering in Nigeria should institute a Nobel laureate in his name and give him, he should earn it first. I'm telling you this. So the issue between him and midstream, downstream, in fact, is a petty issue for them to even be in court. It's petty. The president should just intervene. And I have said this thing many times. Political power should not be acquired just for that sake. Political power in the hand of President Tinubu today, after God in Nigeria, is President Tinubu. I have said it here on this table. So he should use it to resolve problems, not to look away from problems, not to compound the problem by keeping silence. What are we looking for in life? I'm 67. President Tinubu is 73 or 74. So what are we looking for again? We are in the last quarter of our life. And if God has endowed him with this level of political power and success in life, he should use it for the good of and the common good of the country. Don't look away. Dangote Refinery is not an enemy of this country. It's a strategic asset for this country. In fact, the cabal that are bringing petrol and the people managing our petroleum industry, they are the enemy of Nigeria because they use the state propaganda to mislead the citizen. My solution to this problem is political intervention from the highest level. The presidents will resolve this matter. Enough is enough.
Okay.
And we shouldn't come back here to discuss this matter anymore. I believe if I'm asked to put it in writing to the president, I will put it in writing. Since we can't even, some of us cannot even see him to even explain certain things to him. Okay. See what they are doing with LNG now. They call something mini LNG. What is mini LNG in Ajaokuta? Natural gas pipeline 2 are in Ajaokuta. 2 arrive at Ajaokuta from Delta. 1 since in the 1980s for Ajaokuta Steel Complex. That 110 megawatt power plant there built by the Russian. Then the second one built by President Obasanjo to feed Gregu 1, Gregu 2. So natural gas has already reached Ajaokuta. You are now building an inland LNG there. LNG, the meaning of LNG means liquefied natural gas. Dr. Abati, sorry, I know the quality of time in this air, but at times some of these things you have to explain to the public for them to see how people are using public money wrongly against them. How can you go and build liquefied natural gas plant in Ajaokuta and say it's a mini LNG? Okay, who will buy the LNG from you? Where is the regasification facility that person is going to use? Where is the industry that will use the LNG? LNG means liquefied natural gas. For you to take the gas back to liquid, to natural gas, you have to have a reunification, a regasification plant. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? So the natural gas in Ajaokuta, to what extent have you used it? Okay. What is the volume arriving there?
Okay, Mr. Kunle.
So these are the many wrongs we are just seeing every day, and some of us cannot stomach it.
Okay. You talked about age. You said you are 67. Yeah. President Tinubu is 73, 74. I hope you are aware that some people still take a young wife and start another family at the age of 67. Some at 74 will find a young woman and they will start life afresh.
No, doctor,
so 67, 74 does not mean the end of it.
No.
It's the beginning for some people.
But what I mean, I agree with you on a lighter mood that one can still take that type of adventurism, you know. It's a good adventurism if you have the luxury to do that. But what I was just saying, that we're in the last quarter of our life, biologically, in a society like this, where the quality of our life is so low, the quality of air, the poison we are importing called fuel, the water, the quality of air. So that is what I mean. Anyway, so
President Tinubu is preaching a message of hope. But before you go, how about this prices, I call it price war. Now the telecom companies, they too want to jack up price. They say 100%. Government says 50%. The labor is saying, well, if they try it by Tuesday, they will shut down this country. Because again, it's about us. We the long-suffering people of Nigeria.
Again, we are back.
We will pay more for fuel. We will pay more for electricity. We will pay more for phone calls.
Dr. Abati, we are back to square one. We are back to ground zero, Dr. Abati. The structure of the political economy of Nigeria was largely rentier and import-based. So we are going to pay more for telecom. We will pay more for electricity. Electricity will never be available as it is now. In the last 10 years, the industry has been further destroyed. So you are going to be on your own, and I will be on my own. We will find solar, we will find anything. So telecom, 50% increase is dead on arrival. It will not work. The telecom company in Nigeria cannot make it at that price. All the components, all the apparatus you see on a tower, they are imported. The generator under is imported. Nobody manufactures generator in Nigeria. You know, even the steel, those stands you see there, those profiles are imported. So the 50% is zero. The Nigerian Labour Congress, unfortunately, has been part of the cancer of Nigeria. They've never helped matter.
They are defending the interest of the masses.
Which masses? They are deceiving the masses. They are misleading the masses. They are misinforming the masses. They are pretenders. They are superficial. Because I will tell you why. The oil and gas sector, this is the same way they say don't sell the refinery. Today, where are we? They are part of the cancer of Nigeria. Okay, now, if they say no telecom, okay, let the telco go off the air. If it were not to be for national security, let the telco go off the air for 2 days. And let's see the Nigerian Labour Congress where they will be. Can they... telecom now is like oxygen. People don't know. It's like oxygen. The internet, the data you need. You and me, we are talking here. By the time I get out of this studio now, you will see how much data will have reached me. So they are jokers, to put it. The telcos need 150% tariff review, upward review. 150, doctor.
Okay, then we'll become a country of deaf and dumb people.
No, you and me
will not
need
be able to talk again.
No, doctor, we need to adjust our lifestyle. I have said it on this program before that we behave like spoiled children. We are not as rich as they say. We are not prudent. We are not good managers. We need to change our lifestyle. We need to wear simple dresses. We need to stop overdressing and over-exaggerating our life, over-buy cars, over-build houses. So telecom facility is a necessity. Medical is necessity. Education is necessity. Quality water is necessity. These are the things we should focus on. So people think telephone will be cheap in this country. It will never be cheap because the infrastructural base to carry it is not there.
Okay.
So, Dr. Abati, we are the way we propagate in Nigeria good news for the populace. I'm not part of it, but I'm not a sadist. I'm very, very progressive in mind, but I believe in liberal capitalism.
Okay, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Kunle, for joining us on This Day Live, this Sunday talk show.